Hello, artists, and welcome to the MFA Podcast. I'm your host, founder of the Artist Advisory, Marina Granger. I gotta say, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, for being in my community. And if I have worked with you, extra special thank you to you. Because here's the thing. This week, the week of August 3rd, marks 8 years that I've had the Artist Advisory. And this has been one of the biggest blessings of my life. So thank you so much. I'm so excited about this. And I got to tell you, when I first started the Artist Advisory, I did a month of free sessions for artists because at the time when I started 8 years ago, there were not very many people like me giving artists guidance and honest answers for their career. And I thought, you know what? I've been in the business for so long on the other side of things, working in galleries. I want to know what I can do to help artists. And so 8 years ago, I sat down and did these one-to-one sessions and learned so much about what you guys need and what I can give you. And over the years, I've developed all of this into my baby, into a wonderful program called the Artist Academy. I will be starting the 18th cohort this week. And I wanted to give you just a chance to join me if you're interested. Okay. If you're not, totally okay. And maybe you can't do it right now. That's fine. But I want to give you that chance because here's the thing. A lot of the time I hear artists tell me, I don't know if I'm ready yet. Is my work ready? I'm going to tell you this. Being ready is not a state. It is not a feeling. It is a decision, right? And when I started the Artist Academy, I definitely was not ready. But if I waited until I was ready, I would have never had this. Never. I would have still been starting it. Just like recording this episode of the podcast. Am I ready? Kinda, because I made the decision to be ready. But physically, am I ready? I don't know. My lighting's off. All these things are happening. I could do it later, but I want to do it now. And so anyway, I wanted to share that with you, give you my gratitude, and to celebrate the 8 years in business. I am trickling in ways for you to win one-to-one sessions with me, because that was a really big part of how I started the business. So I'm going to air my latest free masterclass for you. It's on the topic of how to become magnetic to galleries and collectors. And inside this masterclass, once you listen to it, to the audio version, you will hear how you can enter to win a one-to-one session with me. I'm giving away a one-to-one session to 3 artists. The only catch is you have to enter pretty much in the next 24 hours. By August 5th at midnight Pacific, that's the deadline. That's the cutoff to enter this giveaway. But guess what? There's going to be more giveaways this month for one-to-one sessions, and I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. So I wanted to air this masterclass, but before I do, I also want to share a little message with you. And a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, Kat Popova, she is the founder and editor of Create Magazine and the Create community. We send voice notes to each other. We talk every day because we are Morning Pages partners. We decided to become Morning Pages partners. So if you don't know what Morning Pages are, go ahead and check out The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's one of the most liberating books, and she really helps you with your spiritual path as an artist, which is also something that all of my magic includes because I take an integrated approach. But I got to tell you, this past year, I was creatively blocked. And let me tell you this, every time I create a podcast for you, an Instagram post, a course, a masterclass, I get creative. I want to be creative. And in that way, I create my art. And that is for you. And here's the thing. I was fully blocked. I was fully blocked because I was so focused, so incredibly focused on the big change in my life. I had a huge change. My grandmother who raised me passed away, right? I had to clean out my childhood home. I moved all the artwork and paintings from that home into my home now. I had a big identity shift. I changed my hair color. This was huge for me because for my entire life, all of those 40 years, I was a blonde, right? And so now I am completely shifting. And in that shift, I got stuck on the self-referential system. I couldn't understand how I wanted to see myself. And this is really huge as a block, a creative block. And so I started doing these morning pages. Every morning I would handwrite at least 3 pages, no more than 4. And that was the first thing that I did. And so I kept doing this every single morning since the beginning of June now. And it's pretty much the beginning of August, so it's been a while. This is my year of redoing my routines. So anyway, so I started doing this, and it has been so incredible because I feel so much more inspired, and I'm so grateful to my friend Kat for being there with me. But we were messaging today, and I had this moment of clarity in my morning pages. And I said something to her that I want to share with you. I said that I had this realization that wherever you feel lucky, wherever you feel blessed, if you focus on that, more prosperity comes your way. And so this morning, early in the morning, I had to move the car for street cleaning, and I decided to embrace as much as I could in New York. So I live in the East Village, but I moved the car all the way to Soho. I grabbed my dog. I bought my very favorite unsweetened matcha, and we went for a little walk in Soho. And as I was walking, I thought to myself, I feel so very blessed that this is my life, that this is something I could do, that in my mind, this is something that was maybe perfunctory and not that important, just like a daily occurrence. But ultimately, it is something that made me feel so incredible, so blessed. And once I started to focus on that, I felt this rise of overflow, of abundance inside of me. And so I want to ask you this: where do you feel blessed? Where do you feel lucky? And how do you focus your energy on that? Because from there, you step into a whole new vibration, into a whole new reality where your creativity unlocks, where you see just endless possibilities. Anyway, I'm going to share this masterclass with you now. If you want to watch it on YouTube, you can watch this podcast episode on YouTube with the live masterclass, or well, it's not live, it's recorded with the video of the masterclass. So you can watch this episode on YouTube with the video of the masterclass. And if you prefer to listen, you can totally just listen to the audio. I feel like you will get so much out of it. And don't forget to listen till the end, because that's where I share with you what you can do to enter for a chance to win a one-to-one session with me. Now I'm going to be giving that away to 3 artists. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's a big chance that you can win, but it's not the only chance. There's going to be more. And again, if you're interested in joining the Artist Academy, I'm going to drop a special link for you because you're here, you're in my community. I'm going to give you a special link with a special little something something for you. So if you want to join, you can join. If we are full or it's after the deadline and you can no longer join, that's totally okay. You can join the wait list for the next time that I'll be doing this. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And here you go. Hello, artists. Welcome to this class on how you can become magnetic, truly magnetic to galleries and collectors. Now, everything that I teach you has nothing to do with changing who you are. See, the thing is, you are already incredible. You're already perfect, clearly, right? But here's the thing. What I'm going to teach you using my integrated approach that I've used for many, many years, getting really great results for artists, is essentially how to activate that version of you that is already curated, coveted, and collected, and truly seen and understood by the right people. That version of you already exists. That version of you is inside of you, and you're just here to activate it. So let's dive in. All right, so this is a class I put together for you. It's going to take about an hour for us to get through everything. Now, you're welcome to just plug me into your ears and walk around, but occasionally you're going to want to take a look at the slides. So it's up to you. But here's the thing, before you totally put me on pause and forget about me forever and ever, I just want you to know that at the end, I'm going to reveal one thing. I'm going to reveal how you can enter to win a 30-minute one-to-one session with me. I'll be giving away three of these. So there's a really, really good chance that you could win this. It's like a way higher chance than winning the lottery. And I cannot wait to meet you. So hopefully we get this. And the only way that we can do this is if you enter to win. I'll tell you the rules at the end. So it's my gift to you, this class, these prizes. Can't wait for you to enjoy all of them. Okay, so who am I even? I feel like a lot of you might be new to me, or I might be new to you. And so, in which case, I'll just introduce myself. Some of you might already know me. I've been doing this for 8 years. Can't believe I've been doing this for 8 years. If you told me 8 years ago, I'd be like, no way. That's not really, I made up this job. Okay. So here's the thing. One of my very, one of my very early clients said to me, "You're like a guidance counselor for the art world." And that makes sense. That totally makes sense because what I do is I take this integrated approach to your career in guiding you on how to get in front of the right people. And I teach you not only the business side, which I have so much experience in and what really drove me to start this, but also using neuroscience-backed mindset tools and a little sprinkle of mysticism. Now, let me tell you a little bit about why I do what I do. See, I worked in galleries in New York City. It was like my dream to be a curator, which I am now. But I worked in galleries since 2004. And for many of those years, I worked in that whole space. I worked as a gallery director. I sold over $1 million worth of art. And while I worked with some really great people, I also worked with some not so great people. And you guessed it, they didn't make me feel good. And they certainly did not make artists feel good. They made artists feel like they were just giving them the runaround. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to see anyone feel small ever again. And that is why I do what I do. So I started this company back in 2018 because I saw that artists had this like incredible power that they haven't had before. And that is the way that they can connect to anyone and everyone using the internet. It is the way that they can present themselves, curate themselves using the internet. This was not a thing when I started in galleries, right? This only started really happening in the 2010s. So, anyway, although I remember the first social media sale one of the galleries where I worked with did, that was 2008. Okay, so anyway, moving on. So, in addition to all of this practical experience that I have working in galleries, my undergraduate and graduate degree in art history, I also have a certification as a mindset coach, NLP practitioner, EFT practitioner, hypnotist, and all of those things are like, what is that? I'll tell you all about it. And in addition to that, I'm a Reiki master and I practice classical Chinese feng shui, very distinct classical type. And that is very hard to acquire. So anyway, so I'll teach you some of those things inside this class. And I also created a course called the Artist Academy. I've taught it for 7 years now, for a long time. And we're starting our 18th cohort. I'll tell you all about it at the end, but you may have heard about it on my podcast, the MFA Podcast. And I also am a curator. So, okay, boom, done. I do all those things. If you know human design, I'm a manifesting generator, and that explains it all right? Okay. So here we go. Today, I'm going to teach you how with the goal of being invited to exhibit your work with the goal of not having to like submit to open calls forever and ever and ever, with the goal of cultivating consistent sales and how to get your work in front of the right people. With that goal in mind, I'm going to teach you how to do that in 3 very distinct ways, right? Using 3 very distinct things. One is the practical tactical. I'm going to show you how you can show your consistency and show your story and why that's important and how that connects with collectors and galleries. And I guarantee you, you probably have never heard this before and your mind will be blown. But if it's not, that's okay. You let me know one way or the other. And then also, I'm going to teach you how to step into the version of you, the identity of the artist that you truly desire to be. That's already there. And finally, with the mystical thing, I'm going to teach you one mystical thing you can do in your studio to up your luck by 33.33%. So, I'm going to get to the explanation when I get to it, but also in the mindset portion, we're going to have like a very quick exercise that is about 2 to 3 minutes. And in that exercise, you are going to feel amazing because I'm going to show you what it would be like to fully step into that version of you that I know exists inside of you. And we're just here to let them out. All right, so let's move on. Now, all right, I feel like I really have to explain this a lot. And it is why you would want to learn from me, right? And not just anyone else. Well, first of all, because I'm so cool, right? Okay. But also because I know what they are looking for. I have been working in galleries for so many years. I am a curator. I can't tell you how many open calls I've juried, which, by the way, I've met artists through these open calls that I have curated into shows that don't have open calls. I know. Okay, so anyway, I know what all of these people are looking for, and I'm going to show you how you could show it to them. Okay. And the other thing that's very special about me is that I take an integrated approach to your career. So you don't just, win the lottery and become broke a year later. So you don't just keep talking about that one moment that you felt like you were at the top of the world so that you can have a sustainable career, so that you can continue the growth, that you can continue everything happening for you, right? And not just say like, okay, cool, I had my solar show, I'm done now. What now? So that is pretty awesome. So let's dive in to our very first section, which is the practical. I'm going to show you how to show that you are consistent. Now, before you come at me, you might be wondering, but Marina, I have so many different series. I have so many different things that I do. Here's the thing. The consistency is not in you making the same work of art over and over and over again. Nobody wants that. Although maybe some people do. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Jeff Koons, right? Okay, you didn't hear it here. But anyway, here's the thing. Consistency comes from your message. And it also comes in the characteristics that are in your work. It doesn't matter what series it is. It doesn't matter what medium it is, but there is a consistency there. And I'm going to show you how to show it to others, how to pinpoint it, and how to find people that can actually sell the work and people who would be interested in the work. All in like 5 minutes somehow. Well, it's going to be a little longer than that, but you get my drift. Okay. So here's the thing. So, in order to be consistent, you're going to articulate your story and you're going to maintain that consistency in your portfolio and you're going to show it on your socials, whether you're on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Okay. So, here's the thing. We're going to start from the elevator pitch. And it might, hopefully everything will make sense holistically, but at first you're thinking like, Marina, why are we talking about this? Just roll with me for a second. Okay. So I've developed an easy way to show your consistent story, no matter how many different series you have, no matter what type of different work you have, because it all boils down to three things, one of which is going to change all the time, and two that are always going to be consistent with you. And this is the elevator pitch formula. Okay. I have spent so much time at art fairs and in galleries with literally just a few minutes to get whoever to understand and become interested in the art that we were showing. So people will come up to us and be like, hey, how much is that? Or wow, who's this artist? And so this is the elevator pitch formula that I used, right? And it works like a charm. Now, here's the thing. Most of you out there are going to do this. If somebody comes up to you and asks, well, what kind of art are you making? Or tell me about your work. You're going to say this, okay? You're probably going to say, I'm an abstract painter, or I'm a realist. I do figurative work. I'm a sculptor. And guess what? When you tell them what kind of art you make first, they are literally going to think about the last abstract painter, realist painter, figurative painter, or sculptor that they could think of. And that's it. They'll, they might remember you, but you can't guarantee it. Okay. And they definitely won't know what makes you stand out unless they have like a really good attention span. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip that a little bit and we're going to introduce two other layers into it. So one of them will be, you're going to start with one of these two things, either why you do what you do. Now, I know this one's a little challenging. Instead of that, you can also start with what interests you and then how your perspective informs your work. And then you can tell them what kind of work you make, right? So instead of saying, I'm an abstract painter and I make paintings out of paper, and they're like architectural paintings out of paper, they're like, okay, yeah, so, right? They're like, oh, cool. But here's the thing. What if you say this? I'm really interested in how we can have one object that can create so much chaos and clutter and similarly create so much order. And so when I was living in this one place, there was so much paper clutter everywhere. And I found that so fascinating. So I started to collect paper and sculpt it onto the canvas in an orderly way. And so now I make these paper paintings, these sculptural paintings of folded paper that are very architectural and orderly. And boom, right? Okay. Now you know this story. I betcha if we got to the end of the class and I asked you to repeat that story for me, you won. And now you have an idea of what the work looks like, but you're curious enough to see it. So anyway, so this is the elevator pitch. And some artists that I work with, they come up with this instantly. Other artists, it takes them a while. But the truth of the matter is, you got to be a little bit vulnerable. And, you know, it's there. Okay, so we'll get to that. But here's the thing. When you communicate your elevator pitch, it's going to show up everywhere. And the gallery is going to want to know what it is, but it's also going to want to know this other thing. Now, it's going to want to know the characteristics of your work because the gallery's objective is finding and selling art to their set of collectors. Okay. Now they have a whole bunch of different collectors. And what if I told you they all wanted different art? Well, if they had 1,500 collectors, they would have to have 1,500 different artists, right? So that doesn't work. A lot of their collectors have overlap. They tend to like similar characteristics. Now, collectors go to galleries for a certain kind of art, right? They go to galleries. Wait, what did I say here? Getting more collectors and other connections. Yeah, so galleries want that. They want more collectors and other connections. Yeah, so sorry about that. Okay. So when collectors go to galleries for certain type of art, they want a certain quality and a certain vibe and certain characteristics, right? Now, while galleries may all look the same, and you might say, okay, yeah, Marina, I want to show in any New York City gallery. You don't, because if you just show in any gallery, they might not be able to sell your work. You want to show in a gallery that aligns with the kind of work you are making. And similarly, they want to show the artist that aligns with the kind of work they exhibit, right? Now, think about a shoe store. I love the shoe store analogy. If you go to like a big box shoe store, and if you're watching and you're in the US, you know about Target and how in their shoe department you have all the shoes out, like all of them. There's no mystery. And it looks like there's an abundance of shoes. So suddenly our mind thinks, I can afford these because there's so many of them. I can buy 5 pairs and they might not last forever, but they'll be good enough for now. So there's that type of shoe store. And then there is Jimmy Choo, right? You walk into Jimmy Choo and you see that, oh, well, maybe you'll see a pair of shoes, but usually you'll just see one shoe on display and you've got to ask someone for it and you've got to do extra work to get the price. And they might not have your size, right? So, like all of these things. And it becomes this elevated type of presentation. So I ask you before we go on, are you showing the Target version of your art or the Jimmy Choo version of your art? By the way, totally not sponsored. Okay, but here's the thing. If you want to show the Jimmy Choo version of your art, stick around. I'm going to show you how. And it's okay to have a little Target version too. Depends on your audience. Okay. So here's the thing. What are the criteria for a gallery? Just like, Jimmy Choo has a certain factory that they go to make their shoes of a certain quality, and they tend to be very narrow and pointy and angular and all of those things. It's very different in Target, right? Different criteria. So how does this apply to your art? Now, everyone has very distinctive work. And your work is going to have some overlapping qualities with other artists, and it will have its own qualities that might overlap with a select few artists. Okay. So, for example, for those general qualities, and I just want to give you some deep cut insight to this. Here's the thing. There's this book that I'm never going to ask you to read. I'm just going to tell you about it. And it is a book that was written 100 years ago by Heinrich Wolfland, and it's called The Principles of Art History. And it is what many academically trained curators read for the first time when they want to know how to identify these characteristics. And there are 5 characteristics that he talks about. 3 of them are just, I think, difficult to understand, but you could just look up the Wikipedia entry on this. You don't need to read this book. As a matter of fact, I don't know how anyone can get through it today. But then, and I don't know how I got through it when I was in grad school, but here's the thing. Most galleries, like I said, they cater to that collector base. Those collectors tend to like the same, they have an overlap in the formal or thematic qualities of the work. So, for example, you'll notice this. Some galleries have a very particular palette in the work. Some galleries have a particular like linear versus painterly. This I see a lot, like very tight work, even if it's abstract, where the line is very clearly defined versus not. So you'll see that maybe 70% of the work is linear and 30% is a variation of painterly. And just to show you an example, obviously, painterly is loose, uh, kind of brushstrokes, linear is tight. So here we go. Here's an example. Although in some spaces, you'll think that maybe this could be tight. So here's the thing. There is a spectrum between these types of polarized characteristics. And when you are thinking about your work, you want to think about the characteristics that consistently stand out. Now, you might have different types of work throughout your body of work. And what I would do is, as a curator, this is my recommendation to you. I know that sometimes you might be thinking, I want to show everything in that series. And what happens is that's how scarcity comes up. Scarcity comes up because you're thinking, well, if I just show that one extra painting, then that one person will love it, right? That's not how this works. You've got to stay consistent in your energy, consistent and strong and powerful. And the way that you do that is you curate out your work. You can select the work that you show on your website. Okay, so I'm gonna wait. I'll get there. I'll get there. All right. If I was gonna stop and edit this, we'd never get this done. So let's start here. Okay. So we're going to select the work that you show on your website. You don't have to show everything. There's this magical word called selected on your website. But I'm going to show you how you can do this starting with your social media because this is so important. A lot of artists are being discovered on Instagram, meaning that people find them on Instagram, whether they're collectors or galleries or curators, they find you on Instagram. And so this is what I really recommend. This is an artist who I've worked with who's super amazing. This screenshot is from so long ago. Like if you look at her account, it's going to be a little different. But what I think is important is including a tagline with your intention. I love this artist's tagline, which is always communicating with gestures, either with ASL or painting. And so we know that her work, it has to do with gestures and communication. And why it's important to her, why that perspective is there, is because she communicates with gestures all the time with ASL, right? American Sign Language. And so also what I really recommend, and I didn't mean to drop this into the class, but since we're here, what I really recommend is having your location and a picture of you. Lately, I've been seeing artists with their like logo in the picture, and we're not sure what, it's hard to tell, but it's hard to tell that you're an artist. So it's so helpful when you have a picture of you and your work. I know the picture is small, but our eyes adjust to the screen and we see it. So I really recommend you doing this. So putting your intention and yourself there, and then also the way that you curate your feed, everything, every caption, every description goes into how this relates to the intention, right? How this relates to your elevator pitch. So this tagline is derived from her elevator pitch. Okay. So you've got to just come up with it. And it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It's not the whole description, but it's enough so that when a director at a gallery scrolls past your work and says, wow, this is great, we could sell this, it's that director already has a story to tell the owner of the gallery in addition to showing your work, and that makes it more memorable, and that gives them a very clear way of how they can sell their work. It expedites the whole process, how they could sell your work. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to have this about page on your website. I really love to have a picture of you and your work again in the studio and just 2 paragraphs. You know, a lot of the time I see artists write forever and ever on their about page. And again, that's how scarcity shows up. You feel like you have to share everything. You actually don't. And the less you show, the more luxurious it is. I mean, think about the Jimmy Choo store, right? Okay. So here's the thing. My recommendation comes from my observation of how big galleries write about their artists and how museum catalogs write about their artists. So here's the thing. What you're going to do is you're going to have a first 2 paragraphs in the third person using the pronouns that you use. And the first paragraph will be about the themes in your work and will include your elevator pitch. And the second paragraph will be about your accomplishments. And it's going to start off with, Jane Smith lives and works in Brooklyn, New York. She holds an MFA from Yale University or whatever, right? So those 2 things go first. If you are a self-taught artist, do not discount that. That is actually incredible that you are. There's a lot of collectors out there, a lot of curators, a lot of galleries who use that as a selling point. If you are a powerful self-taught artist, this is huge. They think you're just an innate genius. So what you do, and what you are, so what they do is, what I would say is, Jane Smith lives and works in Brooklyn, New York. She is a self-taught artist. And then you continue on with any accomplishments. So any of the highlights from your CV. And then you can link to your CV. You can also link to your artist statement, but you don't want to include it all in a running page. You want to give them those 2 very curated paragraphs. And here's the thing, how I teach you to show up and curate yourself matches the energy with which the galleries that I'm sure you want to show at, the big, beautiful, nice galleries, show up energetically on their online presence, with their online presence, how they match what I'm asking you is to match their presentation, because then they will see it and they will understand so much more about you and your work, because that's just the way that they see things. Okay. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to curate your work. You want to curate your work. Now, I was talking about this earlier. The most magical word in the art world is selected. You get to select everything. It could be selected paintings on your website, selected recent work, whatever. And it can also be on your CV. So you can do all the shows now, and as your career grows, you could just select them out from your CV. You could say, selected group shows, selected solo shows as you grow, right? So that's another thing that you're going to do on your site. And I want to give you an inspirational story here. So this is about an artist who worked with me inside the Artist Academy. And inside the Artist Academy, her goal was to figure out how to show in galleries, because she was showing for decades in community spaces and teaching museums and had a very wide variety of work. So together we came up with her elevator pitch. We curated her online. Her website was fully curated. Her presentation was curated. And at the end of the Artist Academy, which is this is one of the coolest things ever. You actually get to meet the gallerists. You meet two gallerists. And this artist, well, she was unavailable for this meeting, but she gave me her elevator pitch. And the gallerist saw her website, was looking at her website when I was telling her the elevator pitch for this artist. And 4 months later, it's a miracle. I don't even know how it happened. Like there was a space on the calendar. She had a solo show with this gallery. She recently had her second solo show with this gallery. So bravo, congratulations. Okay. Next, I want to talk to you about your mindset. Okay. So here's the thing. When it comes to your mindset, I'm inviting you to step into that version of you that's already doing all the things you want to do. Okay. Now, I'm not just telling you to act as if. I'm going to teach you why this is important. Okay. Big part of it is mindset because according to this very amazing book that I tell every single artist I work with to read, it's called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks. Our ego operates between two parallel lines. There's the baseline, which is the bare minimum. We'll never drop below the bare minimum. So if you know you're always in 2 group shows a year, you're always going to somehow end up in 2 group shows a year. And the upper limit. And the upper limit is the biggest accomplishment you could think of, right? It is having your solo show with Gagosian or whatever, right? And so when we start to approach the upper limit, our ego feels uncomfortable because it doesn't know what's on the other side of it. And similarly, when we approach the baseline, our ego approaches the other side of the baseline and says, hey, I'm uncomfortable there. I don't like it. And our ego is here to make us feel safe and to make us feel comfortable. So it'll do everything that it can to make us stay between these two parallel lines, our bare minimum and the upper limit. And what happens is you might be almost at the upper limit and then suddenly somehow the ego will find a way to sabotage. It could be something that seems like an outside thing, like you're driving to a meeting that's very important and you get a flat tire, right? It could be you suddenly getting the flu before you have an important meeting, or it could be something else, right? So it's so important to be aware of this because awareness will help you overcome this and grow faster and more sustainably, right? Because we only have so much time. Okay. So how do you actually leap? Now, here's the thing. Your ego is connected to your identity, right? Okay, so a lot of people, they need physical proof first before they can believe that they are the artist that they want to be, right? You might say to yourself, well, if I sell a painting, that's when I'll buy the nice brushes, right? Or, okay, well, if I get a response from this curator, then I'm going to start the series, right? Or whatever it is. And a lot of people need that physical proof first, but here's the thing, it's really hard to climb the pyramid when you start with the physical proof because what are you doing? You're waiting for your external reality to change before you change your behavior. So it's outside of your decision making. And then once you change your behavior and you get more external validation, you change your belief system. And then eventually you do this enough that you change your identity, who you think you are. And a good example of this is you walk by the Chanel store and you say, I'm not the kind of person that goes inside, but your collectors are. So go inside, right? Okay, that's it. That's the point of the class. Go inside the Chanel store, not sponsored. Okay, so here's the thing. The success for most people is waiting for that external reality to change. But what if I told you there's a much faster way? And it's actually the way that I've done everything. I mean, I can't even tell you where what my circumstances were before I even went to college. Uh, don't want to go there. Here's the thing. What you do to get there faster is inside, you shift your identity, you shift your energy field to say, I am the kind of artist that does this. I'm the kind of artist that does not work at openings serving drinks. I'm the kind of artist that shows at the openings that serve drinks, right? And so shifting that identity is going to transfer into your belief system. You're going to start to believe different things. And when you believe different things, you make different decisions. It leads to different behavior, and you are going to get different results. It's so much easier because everything in this way of doing it, you are the master of your own destiny. You get to decide how this works. Okay. So, why is that important? Because when you do that, you see more opportunities coming your way. And the reason for that is that we have this filter in our mind, right? It's called the reticular activating system, and a lot of people call it the RAS for short. And what it does is it filters out information that we think is relevant versus not relevant. So you may be walking by the Chanel store and not even think, is it open or not? Because you're not the kind of person that shops there. So your RAS will filter it out and say, that's irrelevant. Okay. So here's the thing. At any given moment, there are over 2 million bits of information in front of you. And because of the RAS, it filters it out. We are only conscious of about 100 bits, right? So we only see the possibility of 100 bits of information. Isn't that wild? That is so wild. And a lot of those bits are the sky is blue. The Chanel store is over there, but I'm not the kind of person that goes in there. Never mind that they're having a 40% off sale, right? Okay. So anyway, so that is why your identity is important. Once you start to energetically shift into that version of you that has all those things that the version like that the artist that you want to be has, you start to see more possibilities. Now, here's the thing. It's like when you're at a big party and it's very loud, and then suddenly someone sees you and calls your name and you hear it. That is your RAS at work. It's the cocktail party effect. And when you believe your collectors are out there for you, the galleries are looking for you, would love to work with you, your brain starts hearing the gallery and the collector coded signals that you used to miss, right? So here's the thing. I want to show you some inspo stories of how this worked for my artists, especially with collectors. So Helena here, back when I was blonde, she came to visit the US. She's actually from Berlin, and I've worked with her for quite some time. And well, actually, she's from Finland. But anyway, so we were working together, and it's not only on the practical, tactical, but on the mindset as well. And she realized that there was this resistance that she had to selling this beautiful, incredible, relevant, and strong watercolor that she had just finished. She was like, I can't sell this. I don't know why. And the way that she would normally do this is she would just send a newsletter to her list about it, right? And so whoever the collectors on her list are, they would respond and buy it directly. And she wouldn't even put the price in there. But she was like, something's off. And she realized that it's because she was charging too little for it in her mind. She had the old prices, the old pricing formula. And she thought, you know what? This took me so much longer, so much more research. And she, in her mind, doubled the price, sent out the newsletter, and instantly, within 5 minutes, sold it for double the price. Okay. Another story. I love this one so much, and I've talked about this one on my podcast. This is an artist who is quite accomplished, has been showing her work for decades. And normally, when somebody reaches out to her and says, "Hey, is this one available?" and it's sold, she says, "Yeah, you can contact the collector." And so a public institution from Europe reached out to her and asked about a sold artwork. Normally, she would say, "Sorry, I'll just connect you with the collector. You can buy it from them or you can borrow it from them or whatever." But we were working on our mindset. And she thought, "I'm going to ask them. I'm going to say, hey, would this one's sold, but I can make you one like it." So not only did they commission her to make this work of art that's on a similar topic, a totally different work of art, they also flew her to Europe with the artwork for an artist talk. Okay. So the mindset, huge. It's a huge change. So I want to have a little exercise with you. I'm like, how do you do it? You can do all of these things, the tools that I use with the artists that I work with: visualization, meditation, hypnosis, subliminals, EFT tapping, neurolinguistic programming, all of these things to really actively shift your mindset. But today we're going to do a very quick exercise. Maybe it's going to be 3 minutes, maybe it's going to be less, but here it is. What we're going to do is I'm going to have you close your eyes, find a steady breath, and imagine that version of you, that version of you that is showing in the galleries that you really want to show in. That version of you that opens up their email and sees that they've made a sale. That version of you that gets notes from their collector saying, "I love your work." That version of you that has invitations in their email to show in beautiful galleries and museums. That version of you that is curated, that is coveted and collected. So imagine that version of you. And with your eyes closed, go ahead, put your hands in your heart center. And of course, don't close your eyes if you're driving. Okay. And float all the way down into that version of you. And in your mind's eye, open your eyes in that version and look around and notice 3 things you see. 3 things you see. Just notice the 3 things you see. Maybe it's the room you're in, what's on your phone, what your hands look like. 3 things you hear. What do you hear coming, if you're inside, what's on the street? Who says, is there anyone saying anything to you? And, so 3 things you hear, 3 things you see. And now that you're fully there, I want you to hold on to the feeling. Notice the feeling. And as you really notice the feeling, at the peak of the feeling, really press into your heart center with your hands. Really imprint that feeling into your heart center. And once you're fully done feeling that feeling, go ahead and come back into the room with me or into the space with me. Okay, so that feeling that you felt, great job, by the way. I know you did a great job. That feeling that you felt, this is so powerful. I want you to hold on to that feeling, because from that feeling, we start to shift your perception of reality. Reality is going to be the same for everyone. Reality is the same for Gagosian Gallery and your local neighborhood gallery. They just choose to see it differently. And so both are amazing, but the reality that you want to be in is that reality that has the perception of the things you saw, heard, and felt. So hold on to that feeling. And if you hold on to that feeling, what is one thing you can do to get that feeling every day? Whether it's to remember that feeling or to do something else that gives you that feeling, right? That is how, just feel that feeling over and over again. And if you want to feel it even stronger, go ahead and press your hands into your heart center because that is how you activate that feeling now. All right. So now we're going to do one very quick mystical thing. All right. And that one very quick mystical thing is you're going to use your space as a vision board. Okay. So we're going to activate the feng shui in your space. There's so much I can teach you about feng shui, and I want to tell you everything, but I don't have a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the very bare minimum. So a lot of feng shui you see on the internet is what I would call faux shui. It's not exactly feng shui. But what real feng shui does is it teaches you that there are three kinds of luck. There's the luck you were born with, and that's 1/3 of your luck. Another part of your luck is the luck you create with your hard work. And then there's the luck that your space brings you, right? Your environment, the luck you get from your environment. And that's feng shui. That's activating your feng shui. You can't have 100% in each sector. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but it can be close to perfect. I can say the luck you were born with, if you're watching me on a computer right now, we're up there over 20% out of the 33. Okay. And the luck you create with your hard work, if you are steady and you show up, also probably over 20%. But the luck your space brings you, this is huge. You can activate that luck. And so I want to tell you just a few things that are no good in your space. Dead plants, dried flowers, sharp objects, open trash cans. So if you have a trash can, make sure it's closed. Spiky plants. Yeah, snake plants are a little spiky. So if you want plants, I like big round leaves, right? I don't even know if you can see them, but I have a giant banana leaf plant. So the other thing, especially if you're an artist, you're going to leave your water out overnight. Probably you'll soak your brushes or whatever it is. When there's standing water, make sure you put it away. It goes into a cabinet or something so that we don't have it out circulating and collecting energy in your space. Put it in a cabinet. Okay. Now, the one thing that I'm going to have you do is after you watch this class, I'm going to have you Google qua number calculator. And this is how it's spelled, Kua number calculator. And when you find the qua number calculator, it's a special number that you get. It's based on when you were born and your gender. I like to put in the gender that you identify as, right? Into the thing, into the calculator, and it'll give you your 4 lucky directions. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand in the middle of your space, in the middle of your studio, where you spend the most time. And you can use a compass. Most smartphones have a compass. And you're going to find your luckiest direction, which is your success direction. So you hold up the compass, you hold it perpendicular to your heart, you find that direction and see what's over there. And you use it as a vision board. You could even like create a success altar there, right? You would activate that success direction. So again, you need to look up the qua number calculator, right? So what you would do is you could create this altar, you could put citrine there, like citrine, for wealth, magazines you'd like to be featured in, cards from galleries that you would like to work with, anything that represents success to you, put over there. If you want to be a global artist, put a globe over there, right? So that is your success altar. I'm going to have you do that. And if you wanted to have more of this kind of accountability and support, I invite you, right, to consider joining me inside this cohort of the Artist Academy, where we take everything kind of slow and steady and do it over the course of 4 months. Because slow and steady wins the race, and this is not a race, right? I don't know. I have to workshop that. But here's the thing. You the whole course goes through 4 sections. And in those 4 sections, each section is a month. We have 2 modules in each of the sections. Let me go through them. In the first month, oh, sorry, guys, if there was a weird pause. I had to turn off a very loud air conditioner that just decided to turn on. Okay, so in the first month, we really give you that connection to your intention, both in your body, in your physical space, but also in your work. So you will come out of the first month with a good ritual and routine that will keep you grounded. You're going to have your schedule sorted because everyone has a very different brain when they're creative versus when they have to do everything else. So I really focus on time management in the beginning of the course. And most importantly, you will come out of the first month with your elevator pitch and your story sorted. Your artist bio and intention will be clear and seamless, and you won't have to wonder, how do I explain my work to anyone? They will truly be transfixed by what you say. Now, in the next month, we are going to focus on the very practical, tactical internet stuff, how you curate yourself online. So I have a website template for you to use, or we can adjust your template. We also have tech support if you need it, but ultimately, we will create a website that supports you as an artist who is looking to work with more galleries and curators, but also a website that will create the space for you to sell directly without revealing your prices instantly. And also a very mindful and direct way of showing up in social media so that you are retaining emails and you're getting inquiries and you're doing this without compromising gallery relationships because you are attracting the curators and galleries with your story. Now, by the end of the third month, this is going to be the fun thing. You're going to have so much clarity on how to build your own roadmap inside the art world because getting to your goal inside the art world is like getting to the center of a spider web. There are so many ways to do it, and you have your own unique way. So we will do all of that. You will also work on finding your amplifiers, and amplifiers are the people and institutions that are going to get you in front of more eyeballs. And so that means that you're going to learn how to find a patron, and hopefully you'll also put together your press kit. And the press kit can be timely for an event, or it could be lifestyle based, which does not have a timely thing connected to it, but you will find a way to connect to the press and the press amplify your message. Now, the next thing is you'll also truly know how to get the clarity. You'll have the clarity on where you fit in. Now, in the fourth month, this is the fun part. You will create a You'll know so much more about selling your work, whether or not you're working with galleries, and you'll create a sustainable sales system so that every quarter you have a sale, at least one, hopefully. And so these sales systems that I've developed with the artists that I work with, they, for years, have not sold anything. And then once they do this, they have an email list. They are selling to their email list. They're not compromising gallery relationships. Some of them have galleries that have okayed this. And they have this other stream of income. And the other thing that's really great in month four is you actually get to meet and network with gallerists, right? And they get to see and hear everything that you've done over the past few months because you will have your online presence very well curated and you're going to have that elevator pitch that you will introduce yourself with. So if you're interested in doing this, I invite you into this cohort. We are currently enrolling. We're at the end of enrollment, so we only have a few spots open. But if you're interested, and I want to tell you just in a nutshell, what we do is you have a module drop and then we meet in 2 weeks, right? So you have the module drop and then we meet. And right now we'll be meeting starting August 10th. So you have a little less time to do module one, but it's one of the easiest ones. And so what happens is we'll meet every Monday, every other Monday. So we'll meet once every 2 weeks, every other Monday starting August 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern for 1 hour. And then the gallery networking sessions happen at the end, pending the gallerist schedule. But we have those penciled in. You also get a bunch of bonuses with this course, which I will release mostly as we go through the course so that you don't just get everything overwhelm at once, right? And so this course is spaced out so that you can do this in a very simple way. You don't have to devote your entire life to this. You can do this in a few hours a week, and it will drastically reshape your reality. Okay. So if you're interested, I invite you to go to jointheartistacademy.com/bonus. Once you do, you have some time to save $500 off the registration fee. And because you did this class, if you register, you get a 45-minute one-to-one session with me. So you get that one-to-one session one way or the other. But if you're interested in winning a one-to-one session, in addition to this or whatever, oh, I didn't put that in the slide. Okay, if you're interested in winning, I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to have you tell me what you found. Tell me one thing you found that was the most helpful inside this masterclass. And you could send it to me over a DM on Instagram if we're connected on Instagram. So it's The Artist Advisory on Instagram. You can send me a DM of the one thing that you found most helpful inside this course. And you can also send me an email, right? So one or the other. The email would be info@theartistadvisory.com, and in the subject line, just write masterclass. Okay. So either send me the email or send me a DM, and I'll announce the winner. I'll announce the winner on August 6th, because also August 5th, literally, we don't have that much time, is the last day that you can enroll in the Artist Academy. Oh my gosh. Or you can wait until the next time, which will probably be next year. So don't put yourself on hold. I truly hope to hear from you one way or the other. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you when I see you.